So one of my early experiences with Mary was her relationship with America. And that she's symbolized by Lady Liberty. When things started really going wrong with my twin, I had a bunch of prophecies pour out of me at the beginning. By the time 3 months later came by, about July, actually, it would have been in June, prophecies started coming through again. In this moment of my desolation, I couldn't let go of my twin. I felt like I had to keep trying. I didn't realize that I was trapped. But that being trapped was actually a good thing, because I was perfectly positioned to get myself out. At what point I realized that he was traveling at night, and that it was having problems. He was having problems with his physical body as a result. I knew this because I realized that was one of the reasons I was having so many problems with my physical body, was ineffective dream walking. So me and my arrogance said that he didn't know what he was doing, and he needed to stop. And I had to protect him. So in essence, I became kind of like a seraphic transport. And I encased him. And somehow in the middle of the night, he got out. And his astral self didn't understand what happened. And I think there was one of the first instances of attack from him on me. Astrally. I mean, I'm sure it was happening before. Because by then, cannabis was strongly in my mind. Anyways, one of the prophecies that came through at this time was that Lady Liberty was done with America. The children didn't want to listen. So she was going to step off her pedestal and go journey around the world. Journey under the sea and plant herself in a new location. Because I was heading to my paradise, I assumed that she was talking about my paradise. But it might be something else. But I also realized that for me, it was stepping off of my pedestal, stepping off my place of being guardian, my place of symbolizing a people that didn't care, people that didn't understand the ideals of which I stood for. I, in essence, began to embody Lady Liberty. And I realized I was Lady Liberty. And a part of me, a large part of me, didn't want to leave America. Because I remembered my inscription. Give me your hungry, poor, weak, whatever, downtrodden. I'll bring them into my fold and I'll take care of them. And I still feel I have this responsibility. But now there's something else going on. And I need to find a different way to bring these people under my protection. At this time, I also found my way into the collective unconscious. I had found my way in, but I actually met Mother Earth and her twin, which nobody talks about, Father Earth. But I met them as children. on some level, part of me thought at this time that they were my children. I don't know. I went in a while later and got to see them grown, more grown. At this time, Mother came toward me and told me it was time for me to start a garden. My own little portion of the collective unconscious. And she showed me the place that she wanted me to revive, showing me that the collective unconscious was just this huge, desolate desert area with all these skeleton trees and just death all around. So she gave me this portion and asked me to revive it. I didn't know really what to do, so I decided that it needed water. And I understood that this portion of the collective unconscious, I could look at it kind of like a coin. I later realized I was probably looking at this kind of like the idea of we have the outer earth and we have inner earth. A whole entire population in the inside of this planet. So in my mind's eye, I saw this as just a coin. And my portion of the collective unconscious was on top. The part of inner earth it was connected to was on the bottom and directly mirrored it. Whatever mountain feature, because I had a big mountain and some other little hills and stuff like that, it was all mirrored down below. And I saw that down below there was a large reservoir of water. And I understood that I needed to pump this water up and bring it up to my portion of this collective unconscious. And I didn't understand how to do this. So I went to my twin in the astral, who's a brilliant mechanic. And I asked him, how do I build a perpetual motion machine that will pump water? Somehow I suddenly knew how to do this. And I did it. Consciously, I don't know what I did. I also suddenly knew that I had to protect my machine from whomever was going to come in that had caused this original desolation. And they were going to come in and destroy my machine. My attempts to try to revive humanity. So, in order, because my machine needed a source of energy. And I asked myself, what could I use for energy? I needed to use something that people were throwing away all the time, because human predilection is they don't want something until they know that somebody else wants it, and then suddenly it becomes valuable to them. So I had to find something that was being thrown away that nobody would ever miss. And I decided on two things: talk and hair. All I could think of with hair was people going to the salons, getting their hair cut, and then it all getting swept into the garbage. And with talk, well, people just flap their lips all day long and talk, and there's really not much meaning to any of it. So these became my energy source, and somehow I knew that I just had to route it through all these different things such that the trail of my incoming energy was lost. I did not realize, though, because my plan was flawless, would have continued to work and gone on undetected. However, I did not realize that my machine was powerful enough to have created a baby son. And that is the only reason that my portion of the collective unconscious was found. And of course, they started shutting it down. They posted 1 century. And the only reason I knew about this was because over the years, my daughter and I have become connected through our dreams. She had a dream. I immediately knew there was something about this dream I had to pay attention to. I went and I meditated on it. And for some reason, something about it told me I needed to check on my collective unconscious. I did. At first, I thought everything was fine. But then I realized there was one problem. Nothing was moving. I was looking at a snapshot. So I went in there, and then that's when I found this sentry posted. And I found out he was calling in reinforcements, or reinforcements were on their way. So I talked to him and asked him if he knew the nature of what he was doing, if he understood how he was blocking human potential, and then using a thing sort of from Monsters, Inc., that movie by Disney and Pixar, you know, where the monster discovered that energy gotten from laughter was far purer and more effective than energy gained from fear. So in essence, I told this man, this sentry, not a man, I mean, it was an alien form, I just don't know what. I told him this form of energy I was creating would be far more effective than anything that they currently lived on and preyed on, and that they used for their source of sustaining their life. So I bribed him, said, if you just let me continue my work, I promise you that you will have everything that you need to sustain your life. And I gave him a home there and told him to watch over it for me. And he would always have access to whatever he needed. And so quickly he became a convert once he actually fed off of this, because he allowed me to restart it. He fed off of it and felt it. But I knew that he was just one, and that more were coming, and they would subdue him. So I didn't know what to do. I wasn't strong enough at this point to deal with it or understand what to do. So I put my portion of the collective unconscious in a state of winter. And for the past, because this was right before I went on my paradise trip. So for the past 6 months or more, 8 months, yeah, because I thought I was pregnant 6 months, and yeah, well, maybe 7 months then. My collective unconscious has remained in winter. I've visited it a few times, but I still don't know what to do. But I think I'm about to answer that question. And it's getting dark, and I'm sure you hear the frogs. I'll love you all. Good night, and thank you for connecting with me. I love you.